2 on this.
All right. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the roll, please.
Mayor Bailey,
Here.
Mr. Bateman,
Here.
Mr. Goodyear,
Here.
Mr. Hart,
Here.
Mr. Ori,
Here.
sorry about that, Mr. Phelps,
Here.
Mr. Ping.
Here.
My goodness. Okay. It's been a while. Welcome, everyone. With us tonight, we have our Assistant City Manager for the next hour and a half or so, Corey Wright, Mark Medler, Director of Finance, Clerk of Council, Misty Clark, City Manager Dave Kennedy, City Solicitor Joe Braun, our Chief of Police Michael Gabrielson, numerous current and former lieutenants of our police department, every, I think, lieutenant in our police department, if I'm counting correctly. Also, we have Captain Gangor is here, and also several of our police officers. So welcome, everyone. Former council members Todd Osborne and Kent Blair also here. So welcome. And I believe you're all here for an addition to the agenda, which is we have the oath of office of a new officer.
Right over here for me. Block their view of me. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, Mr. Kennedy, City staff, thank you for your continued support of the police department. We are starting 2024 by welcoming our newest member to the team. I want to introduce everybody to Walt Griffith, the new patrol officer for the city of Loveland. A little bit about Walt. Walt was born and raised in Brown County, Ohio. Began his law enforcement career in 2011. For the past 12 years, he has served various communities as a patrol officer, detective, SWAT member, and was assigned to the Brown County Drug and Major Crime Task Force. Walt has also served with the Georgetown Fire Department since 2003, moving from a firefighter cadet to a firefighter to a lieutenant. Walt is married to his wife, Tori, who is up front. She will pin his badge here shortly, and they are blessed to have 2 boys up front. Levi, you can come up if he wants to. And Oliver, 6 months, is down front in the carrier here. So we are very blessed ourselves to have Walt as an addition to our team here and to serve the citizens in this community. So everybody, I would like you to welcome Walt to the city of Loveland, and the mayor is going to administer the oath.
I will. Welcome, first of all, to Loveland. I don't know how much you know about Loveland, but we think we have a pretty special community. We think we have an extremely special police department that certainly has the full support of this council and this community. So we're very happy to welcome you to the community and to the police department. Are you ready? All right, you ready? All right, Levi. All right. I state your name.
I, Walt Griffith,
Solemnly swear that I will
solemnly swear that I will
support the Constitution of the United States,
support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Charter and ordinances
and the Charter and ordinances
of the City of Loveland,
of the City of Loveland,
and will obey the laws thereof, and will faithfully discharge
faithfully discharge
the duties of police officer
the duties of police officer
upon which I'm about to enter.
on which I am about to enter.
Congratulations. Welcome.
Thank you to everybody. I'm glad to be here and glad to be part of the team.
All right. Oh, no. To keep rocking it.
That's a good shot.
We have a full service police chief here. Yep. Congratulations. Yeah.
We're glad you're here. Yeah. Go to work with you. Welcome. You sent us.
Thanks for joining us.
You send those.
You don't see me sitting down, do you?
Do a picture, of course.
Sorry. Brittany family real quick.
Levi's in charge. Let's all be in the picture.
Come on, Ace. Okay. Real quick. That's okay.
Come on, guys. There's a big lad. You gotta squeeze.
Like
That's a fine picture.
that was great. I would. That's true. A lot of land. A lot of land.
Can't replace that.
That's true. Excuse me.
Okay, next is open forum. We have Todd Osborne.
Todd Osborne, 1100 Sunrise Drive. Good evening, council and administration. As I walked into council chambers last meeting, I noticed that the agenda had been amended. And this is normal for a December meeting, typically for financial balances, for example. As I sat down and scanned through the agenda, I quickly found out why the amending. Looked up from the paper and saw everyone with basically the same facial expression. No. The resignation of Corey Wright. No. Which was followed by a collective, damn. In the time you have been assistant city manager, you have positively changed and helped move the city's master plan forward, and along with Dave Kennedy, acquired millions of grant dollars, an absolute unbelievable amount. Simply stated, you can't leave. In the last 15 years, Loveland has had two dynamic assistant city managers who are now, or will be shortly, administrators of two of the largest townships in the state, Jeff Wright and Corey Wright. So clearly, two rights don't make a wrong. So Corey, why are you leaving? So let's compare. You have the major makeover of Shoppers Haven. Now you'll have Eastgate Mall. You have done an incredible job with Chestnut Street remediation. Now you'll have the unbelievable mess on Round Bottom Road. Soon you have the soon makeover of Loveland Madeira Road. Now you'll have Route 32. Do you really want to leave? I mean, sure, you'll soon have a Wawa, but does Union Township have a Loveland Dairy Whip? I think not. Loveland now has over 300 acres of dedicated green space. Oh, wait, you'll have a jungle. As in Jungle Gym. Again, you can't leave. The momentum that you have established with the possible second bridge and traffic relief, Loveland Madeira Road, and related Chestnut Street, and other projects. No, you can't leave. But sadly, you are leaving. And you will be greatly missed. So, as a private citizen and resident, thank you for your service and serving Loveland. You have left big shoes to fill. And thank you.
Thank you. Well, and now is as good a time as any, rather than waiting to discuss this. Just to echo what Mr. Osborne had to say. You were only here 2 years, but boy, you left a mark in 2 years. Don't have to go through them all. We all know what they are. The number of huge projects that you took on and took some all the way to the finish line, some as far as could possibly be taken in these last 2 years. And there's just the sheer volume what could not have happened without you here. We could not have gotten all this done without not just two of you, but with a competent two of you. So you in particular helped move this city along astronomically over these last 2 years. You certainly gave 100% plus to the city all the way up through tonight. And so we appreciate that. We're lucky to have had you, even if it was a short time, lucky to have known you, and make darn sure you're not a stranger. Anybody else have any words you'd like to say? Mr. Hart?
I would just echo those sentiments. Corey, you've been an awesome addition to the city, and to the mayor's point, we'll leave quite a hole, and you've kind of left some pretty big shoes to fill, and quite a bit of momentum created that we just are going to have to continue, find a way to continue that. So I appreciate personally your responsiveness, being accessible. One of the things I appreciate the most about our staff here, top to bottom, is the responsiveness, and you were absolutely a big part of that, and answering questions and being knowledgeable about the projects you're working on, and being able to answer questions, and even when they're kind of brought to you off the cuff at the end of a meeting or something like that, you right there to provide answers and provide the community with the knowledge that they needed to have to be able to understand what's going on in the city, and deeply appreciate your efforts here in the city, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, sir.
Very good. Anyone else have any wish to say? Yes, Vice Mayor.
I would just say, we wish you nothing but the best for yourself and your family and your new employer.
Thank you.
And I'm certain you'll pick up the phone when Dave calls. I know that.
Oh, there's no question.
Okay.
There's no-
Want to make sure.
Yes.
All right.
I'll just add, I know that the way this was supposed to work is I was supposed to teach Corey, but that was a little bit different. I learned more from my time of under 2 years of working with Corey about, running projects and staying on top of projects. And I will say until the very end, he was approving a PO at 428 today and worked hard to make sure that every project that he was a part of that was in the 2024 CIP is teed up and ready to go. And that's class, and that's dedication. That's really all this city could have ever asked for him, and I got to see it every day. So it's big shoes to fill, and we're going to do what we can. But Corey's made a commitment to be available and anytime we need him. So, and when some people say that when they leave it, Corey actually means it. So we know that. So we'll reach out to him. We won't take advantage of it. But we will certainly reach out to him to keep things moving. So,
Very good. Mr. Ping?
Just to echo everyone else's comments. Certainly, it's been a pleasure working with Corey, and appreciate all that he has done. One of the hallmarks of someone that does a good job is that they leave the place better than when they got there. And certainly, Loveland's a better place for Corey having been here. So it's good that we can say that.
Very good. Anyone else? Yes, Mr.
I similar with everyone else. I just want to thank Mr. Osborne. Those were great words and a good summary of the eventful 2 years that Mr. Wright spent here. I'll definitely miss seeing him around. Like Mr. Kennedy. You could see Corey all around downtown. I'm going to miss driving by City Hall and seeing you. Giving some vendors what for or something like that. At least that's what I imagined you were doing. But I knew that the city was in good hands, and there was just so much accomplished through the rolling up your sleeves and getting the work done. So we certainly appreciate that. I'm also glad to hear that you have left a mark, and all the hip and cool city management stuff that you brought with Mr. Kennedy's going to stay here. He's going to deploy some of those new techniques that you
hip.
Yeah, certainly hip.
And hip.
Yeah, and then to coin a phrase, not to belabor the point, Mr. Wright, but it's really good to know that that we've got a friend, a Lovelander, so to speak, over in Union Township. So we look forward to rubbing elbows with you in your new career path. So it's a loss, we all know it's a loss, but we're happy for you and we wish you the best.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Ori?
Yeah, Corey, you and I spoke a little bit ago, and just to reiterate again the gratitude that we've received from you, for your efforts and your work, and good luck to you. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Very good. All right. There you go.
Thank you.
Should we adjourn now? All right. Next, we have a review and approval of minutes from the December 12th, 2023 meeting. Are there any changes, additions to the minutes?
Move to approve is ready.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I did not make the motion.
I heard.
Oh, you did. I didn't hear that.
Sorry, move to approve is
Thank
ready.
you. Okay. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Bateman?
Yes.
Mr. Goodyear?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mr. Ori?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Phelps?
Yes.
Mr. Ping?
Yes.
Mayor Bailey?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
All right. Next, we have a public hearing. We need a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll move to open the public hearing for the zoning text amendment, short-term rentals, case number 2023-06.
Is there a second?
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Goodyear?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mr. Ori?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Phelps?
Yes.
Mr. Ping?
Yes.
Mayor Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Bateman? Mr. Bateman?
Yes. Sorry.
Motion carries 7-0.
No one signed up to speak. Can we have a motion to close the public hearing?
Move to close.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mr. Ori?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Phelps?
Yes.
Mr. Ping?
Yes.
Mayor Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Bateman?
Yes.
Mr. Goodyear?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
All right, and we have a couple second readings of ordinances. The first is the fire department's sale of a truck. It's been about a month. Does anybody need a refresher? Is everybody good? All right, go ahead and read the ordinance, please.
Ordinance authorizing the sale of LSFD Fire Department's 2004 Sutphen ladder truck, Quint 62.
Any comment on the ordinance? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Ori?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Phelps?
Yes.
Mr. Ping?
Yes.
Mayor Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Bateman?
Yes.
Mr. Goodyear?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ordinance 1 is adopted by a vote of 7-0.
All right, we'll read the next ordinance, please.
Ordinance establishing Chapter 960 Hill Wagner Cemetery Preservation Committee.
Any comments on this issue or on this ordinance? Call the roll, please.
Vice Mayor Phelps?
Yes.
Mr. Ping?
Yes.
Mayor Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Bateman?
Yes.
Mr. Goodyear?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mr. Ori?
Yes.
Ordinance 2 is adopted by a vote of 7-0.
Mr. Kennedy?
So obviously, along with the along with Loveland Madeira Road, one of the items that came out of the comprehensive plan was what we call it the call for connectivity amongst our neighborhoods. And you saw that with the first phase of Love Miamiville Road. Second phase is getting ready. We'll go out to bid here shortly. But what Corey and I have been working on for a long time is there's many other projects that are in the works. And one of those was the State Route 48/Oakland Road project, which would create a connectivity from White Pillars, St. Columban, but almost equally important, the Grail property, which is both the Claremont County Park and the Cardinal Conservancy, a couple hundred acres of green space, both with that will cater to recreation, but also to outdoor education. So those are big, big projects. We originally had this roughly 2,500 linear feet of sidewalk project included with our Appalachian grant. But as we went with a particular group that we went through our lead, we had to define it. We had to redefine our application and focus more on streetscape and also to get the number in a doable. So we pulled this project from that. Since that time, the appellation had a separate arm available for some technical assistant grants that you could apply for if it would help further projects that along. So the city applied for $17,500 through the technical assistance to do some very needed survey work, which will help define this project, both the boundaries, yay or nay on a pedestrian bridge, hopefully nay. Who would we not need easements from? All were going to be needed to move this project along. So the city was awarded the $17,500 through the technical assistance grant on the $20,000. It exceeds the city manager's spending limitation, so it's coming forward. This is how these projects go about. This is what the city does to move along these kind of projects, especially one of this magnitude. We have submitted this project for some funding also, separate from Appalachian. So if we are able to secure that funding, we'll be very happy that we went ahead and got this survey work completed. So at this point in time, it is simply this particular grant required no authorization from City Council to accept. So that part of it has all been taken care of. It's simply authorizing me to execute an agreement with Choice One Engineer to do all survey work.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Mr. Hart?
Yeah, I would just say that, I'll continue to bring this up because I think it bears repeating every time, is that the comprehensive plan put a big emphasis on both the Chestnut property, but also connectivity with our neighborhood. And this, as a furtherance of that goal, is remarkably important. And we continue to, and I love that Mr. Kennedy and city staff continue to lean back into that document and to continue to work to make that thing come to fruition through these types of projects. This is the kind of thing that we heard from the community over and over and over again. That is an important piece. In this particular one, going out towards white pillars and things, incredibly important. So, thank you for continuing to work at and make that a living, breathing document. Something that we put a ton of work into and a ton of time into, continuing to make that the backbone of what we're trying to accomplish as a city. Thank you.
Very good. Any other comment? All right, we'll go ahead and read the resolution, please.
Resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement with Choice One Engineering for professional surveying services in the furtherance of the State Route 48 Oakland Road pedestrian connectivity project.
Any comment or question on the resolution? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Ping?
Yes.
Mayor Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Bateman?
Yes.
Mr. Goodyear?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mr. Ori?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Phelps?
Yes.
Resolution 3 is adopted by a vote of 7-0.
Kennedy?
So at your December 12th meeting, in an effort to move the seating area number 2 along, large in part because Corey and I realized that this is a good time to be doing projects down at that end of the bike trail, largely because the bridge is out and not being completed. So to move that along, we did that. We brought that, Corey brought that project forward to you with the city already knowing that we've been awarded both a Hamilton County Public Health Grant and NatureWorks application. The NatureWorks grant agreement just arrived and does require authorization from the city council. Now we will do this different when we apply. The legislation that city council submits June-ish, July-ish, authorizing us to submit for an application and commit a local match. What we'll probably put to help expedite things in the future is wording that says, if awarded, city manager is authorized to execute the grant agreement. We didn't have that language, but with that. So this project, this is for $27,845, with the city also receiving $35,000 from the Hamilton County Health Department. Leaves the city share on this project was detailed in front of you at December 12th. This action is simply to authorize the city manager to execute an ODNR NatureWorks grant agreement. And to get this moving forward, this project will be all well wrapped up, well in time for the bridge opening, which is currently estimated at May 20th.
All right. Any comment or question regarding the memo or the resolution? All right, read the resolution, please.
Resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an ODNR Nature Works agreement for the Nesbitt Park seating area 2.
You call the roll, please.
Mayor Bailey.
Yes.
Mr. Bateman.
Yes.
Mr. Goodyear.
Yes.
Mr. Hart.
Yes.
Mr. Ori.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Phelps.
Yes.
Mr. Ping.
Yes.
Resolution 4 is adopted by a vote of 7-0.
Mr. Kennedy?
So obviously, the pickleball craze is certainly a big part of the city. We have courts at both. We have courts at both McCoy and at Lever. 2 tennis courts can typically be converted into 2 pickleball courts each. So technically, we have 8 pickleball courts, and they are heavily used and heavily monitored. So we had some cracking last year in about midsummer. We did some touch-up work. You'll see the photos I included in the memo to buy you some time. Any kind of surface course like that is no different than a road. Once a crack gets in, water gets underneath, freeze, thaw, the base starts to decay. So we did some cracking repair on it, got the surface, kept it playable, little interruption, and then moved it into the 2024 CIP for a full resurface, a repair, a resurfacing, a restriping of both those and the basketball court. As you can see, both the Lever and the McCoy are very similar in their designs. I will say the city has submitted some funding to expand our pickleball courts in the city. We'll stay up to date with council on that. I reached out. This is really something that type of project that you really need someone that this is what they do. This isn't call a J.K. Muir or call Queen City Blacktop. So there's really 2 specialists that we know. I've reached out, asked both 2 of those for quotes. Received one from ABCO for $22,975, which is under the $35,000 we had allocated for this project. Did not receive a response. ABCO had done work for the city in the past, and it was very high quality. So we're pretty happy with that. With the underrun money, probably going to buy some nets and maybe do a little bit of touch-up work at Lever to buy us some time. We'd like to be able to defer a full go on Lever to 2026. So with this point in time, a big part of what we do and the reason why we bring these projects to early is because so is every other city. The sooner we can get this, sooner we get on their schedule, the sooner we can get this work done, hopefully even before the real pickleball schedule gets cooking. So that's why we bring it forward to you.
Yep. Thank you very much. Any comment or question regarding the memo or the resolution? Vice Mayor?
Mr. Kennedy, the resurfacing, obviously that doesn't mean that it's being torn up. It's actually just we're building on the existing surface.
Yeah, if the milling would change the price as basically if you're milling it down, we're almost putting in a whole new project. So that's why we continue to try to stay on top of it. I'll be honest with you, before the pickleball craze, we didn't do this. They just got a little bit of tennis ball play, very little. The pickleball craze has brought it forth, and the eyes are on it much more. And they all have my email, and and I mean that. I don't mean in necessarily a negative way, but they certainly let me know, and we do field visits, and clearly we want to take care of them. If we can get the grant and expand the number of courts, that will certainly help. But yeah, we're looking at that they begin to show cracks at about year 5, and we're trying to stay on top of them. Preventive maintenance is at its best.
Okay.
Any other comment or question? All right, read the resolution, please.
Resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement for the McCoy Park court repairs.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Bateman.
Yes.
Mr. Goodyear.
Yes.
Mr. Hart.
Yes.
Mr. Ori.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Phelps.
Yes.
Mr. Ping.
Yes.
Mayor Bailey.
Yes.
Resolution 5 is adopted by a vote of 7-0.
Kennedy?
So the annual road program that we do every year has an option that the contractor, if he will honor the bid unit prices from one year to the next year, we do not go through the bid process. So 2023, the city awarded the annual road program to J.K. Muir at X price. Jeff, the owner of J.K. Muir, had the option to submit a letter to the city saying that he will honor those rates for 2024, which is a provision of our contract. By doing so, we do not bid it under the simple fact that we're saving money. and both in time and, of course, cost. This year, the city's allocation for the annual road program is $1 million. We also allocated $300,000 for full realignment of the City Hall existing parking lot, along with sidewalks that will basically stretch from the barbershop into the new intersection, creating what always was our plan for this funneled access into the city. Safety, a lot of benefits, obviously, and this will all come to fruition. Cindy, our city engineer, made a recommendation that we combine our annual road program with the parking lot program. That way, the parking realignment project, which was $300,000 allocated in the CIP, also benefits from the 2023 cost bids. We get a contractor that we're very happy with. We know exactly how much it's going to cost, and that same contractor can also do the sidewalks. So what we're saying is that we would like to award the bid for $1,300,000 in total for the annual road program, but the annual road program will include City Hall project. At this very moment, the parking lot is out for bid. We will be opening those bids relatively soon. As you can see now, it's starting to take shape. As you come up Harrison, you have the option to turn immediately into City Hall parking or go straight into the parking lot. Traffic leaving the City Hall parking lot has the option to go down Harrison or go down Greer-Militzer. So it's, as you're beginning to start to visualize, that'll all come together with this project. So simply what we're recommending is you adopt a resolution awarding a renewal contract to the J.K. Muir Corporation for 2024.
All right, any comment or question on the memo or the resolution? All right, read the resolution, please.
Resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with J.K. Muir Corp. for the City of Loveland 2024 street repair program.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Goodyear.
Yes.
Mr. Hart.
Yes.
Mr. Ori.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Phelps.
Yes.
Mr. Ping.
Yes.
Mayor Bailey.
Yes.
Mr. Bateman.
Yes.
Resolution 6 is adopted by a vote of 7-0.
Mr. Kennedy?
So typically, the first part of the year, we bring some of our annual requests for you. One of those is our FEMA rates. So we use the FEMA equipment rates for two purposes. More often than not, we use them for somebody knocks into something and the insurance company says, give us a price so we can write you. Somebody hits a fire hydrant on Valley View. The city will bill for the price of the hydrant, the labor, any materials, how much the truck was. And the best guide for the city is to use the FEMA equipment rates. That way we can show it and we get fully reimbursed because that's the way it should be. And we also would use these rates if the city is obviously, if there's any declaration of emergency, we already have them in place. We just were working on a quote for a fire hydrant, and I realized I did not bring these to you in 2022. The difference is pennies, but it's still something we need to do. So this would simply adopt what the most current FEMA rates were, which was the 2023 FEMA equipment rates. That is what we will use and support any requests we receive from insurance companies.
Thank you. Any comment or question on this or the resolution? Yes.
Do these,
Vice Mayor.
Dave, Mr. Kennedy, do these cover the field in terms of our equipment? Or it's pretty much everything?
Yeah, it's about everything. And labor is based upon a set rate that we have that factors in, benefits and so on and so forth. There's pretty much, you name a piece of equipment, Scott can tell you which one matches up with which one based upon bucket size, so on and so forth. And we match it up and it always works. It's very transparent for the city, and it's an honest way to get the city get reimbursed for a project.
Any other comment, question? Read the resolution, please.
Resolution adopting the Federal Emergency Management Agency schedule of equipment rates.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Hart.
Yes.
Mr. Ori.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Phelps.
Yes.
Mr. Ping.
Yes.
Mayor Bailey.
Yes.
Mr. Bateman.
Yes.
Mr. Goodyear.
Yes.
Resolution 7 is adopted by a vote of 7-0.
Mr. Kennedy?
This is simple. It has no memo. This is just simply an annual designation that will sell our internet auction for sale of unneeded, obsolete equipment will be through GovDeals online. We are trying to do more of that. Assistant Public Works Director John Hartness, if you recall, last summer, sold significant amount of old, unneeded equipment at Public Works. Those funds were used for the agility course at the dog park and will likely pay for the vast majority of the tables going into seating area number 2. So with that in mind, any item over 1,000, the city is designated to come to you and get a permission to do so. When we did this last year, we brought this forward. This should be done the first year. I did not do it at the first of the year last year, so I'm trying to get better. This is a simple resolution saying that this is our site to sell unneeded, obsolete items.
Any comment or question? Read the resolution, please.
Resolution declaring intent to conduct internet auctions for the sale of unneeded, obsolete, or unfit city personal property effective January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2024.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Ori?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Phelps?
Yes.
Mr. Ping?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Bateman?
Yes.
Mr. Goodyear?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Resolution 8 is adopted by a vote of 7-0.
Mr. Wright.
Thank you, Mayor. So I have before you this evening a resolution to continue the West Loveland Avenue congestion mitigation study, the bridge study. So if you think back last year when we went through this, we looked at the overall cost and scope of that, and certainly it's a monumental project and a monumental study. And so the city really took the approach to carve this into 2 budget years because it really coincided well with both the timing of the study and, well, and quite frankly, the way that the financing and all of that was. So when we looked at it, we were able to get to a point where we could expend a significant portion in 2023, which has been done. And I'm pleased to announce that, we've wrapped up, purpose and need. We've wrapped up. I just had a call with Mr. Kennedy not too long ago. We are working very quickly on narrowing in on a corridor. And some other short-term and long-term options that will be in this draft study. And then, this phase, which is about 65,000, it's actually 65,068, will consist of the short-term improvement development, which is sort of that complementary approach to the larger issue, which is the bridge, and then the public involvement and stakeholder engagement, which is the public-facing portion of the study that everybody really sees. So with that, this will allow us to continue that process, continue that commitment through to completion. Certainly, I am eager to see the results of that study. I think it is going to be very positive. Hopefully, the public involvement bears out what the survey results told us very early last year, and that people really would like to see something done. So with that, I would respectfully request the City Council authorize this so that the city can continue the work with Burgess and Nyepel and continue this study on to completion.
Thank you. Any comment or question on that explanation for the resolution? Yes, Vice Mayor.
Once this study is completed, talk a little bit about what the next steps will be.
So the project development process is very complex. So you do this study, and then they'll identify an alternative. The final study will identify either a alternative or family of alternatives that you will then go into preliminary design on. And then from preliminary design, you go into detailed design right away. The study could bear out that there needs to be some environmental analysis done, particularly with a bridge crossing. There's likely going to be either an EIS, or which is an environmental impact statement, or an AER, which is an alternative evaluation report. So this, what is it? Winston Churchill said, "This isn't the beginning of the end; it's the end of the beginning." And so, with that, you are really at the front end of that once this study is done. You will have a specific recommended alternative through the public. That's why we go through a draft and a final, because the public involvement informs that, the stakeholder engagement informs that. All the traffic modeling and everything else that we've done to this point informs that. And I think back to when we started this. Transportation planning it's a complicated, arduous task, and it's meant to be, because the federal government, because they know that oftentimes when you do these things, you're going to pursue federal funds, and they don't. And I think I've heard Mr. Kennedy say this numerous times. They want to fund projects that are going to get built, and they don't want to give money away that's not. So that's why they make these processes so difficult.
But the study is certainly
It's
the first golden ticket that
yes.
you need to maybe 2 or 3 that.
That's gate number one.
Yeah.
You got to get through gate number one, and then once we get through that, we know what we can study, and then pursue the alternative evaluation and environmental impacts. Start working on preliminary design, all of those things.
Very good. Any other comment or question? Yes, Mr. Bateman.
Along those lines, I appreciate the asking for that sort of follow-up. If the family of alternatives involved building a bridge outside of the city's municipal boundaries, what would that look like? Would that require more stakeholder involvement, I would imagine, and potentially our role becomes more of a cheerleader, of a chief supervisor? How do you see that happening if that was?
So that very well could be the case. And what you have, though, that I think has been a relatively recent development, particularly in Southwest Ohio, is you have the opportunity to engage the transportation improvement districts either as a full-time member or as a part-time member. And the city actually benefits in that we sit in 3 different transportation improvement districts. Specifically the Claremont County TID, which Union Township is a part of, and then you have the Hamilton County TID, which is aligned with the county engineer's office, and they've been very supportive in that. And I think that there will be opportunities to formally introduce the findings of this study to them. And I've talked to Steve Smith with Birch Sniple about that, and then the Warren County TID, which is really hyper-focused on solving the traffic problems on 48 and 22-3, kind of in the Landon, South Lebanon transit zone there or whatever. And but I think that what's going to happen is with a project of this magnitude, there's going to have to be regional collaboration. You're going to have to pursue state and federal funding for this. Depending on, you may have to chunk away at components of the project. Getting to the bridge is sometimes as difficult as actually building the bridge. It may be more or less expensive, and there may be various project components that can be advanced over a series of 15 or 20 years even. Very much like what they did with Brent Spence. Everybody talked about Brent Spence, started talking about it in 94, and then they ripped 75 up twice between 1994 and now to actually accommodate the bridge. And so that is how these large projects, and I call this a large project, and this is certainly a transformative project for the city. So
one small step at a
yes.
time. Okay, thanks.
All right. Anyone else? All right. Thank you very much. We'll go ahead and read the resolution.
Resolution awarding the contract to complete the remaining phases of the West Loveland Avenue Bridge Congestion Mitigation Study to Burgess and Nyepel.
Call the roll, please.
Vice Mayor Phelps?
Yes.
Mr. Ping?
Yes.
Mayor Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Bateman?
Yes.
Mr. Goodyear?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mr. Ori?
Yes.
Resolution 9 is adopted by a vote of 7-0.
Chief Gabrielson.
Thank you, Mayor. Council, this conversation started back in 2019 when the city embarked on the plan to install GPS emergency vehicle preemption devices, which, as you all remember, are the devices that are in public safety vehicles that allow them, when they're in an emergency run with lights and sirens, to a sensor at the intersection will turn sensor green for the approaching public safety vehicle. It allows the public safety vehicle to get through the intersection more safely. And then after the vehicle gets through, the signal goes back to its normal operating procedure, the regular signal cycle, the cycle that it was on. Last year I was here and we started the first phase which is the last part of this project for the police department. And you approved for 2023 4 preemption devices. We had a 3-year plan to get them in. We were successful in 2023. We got all 4 installed into our vehicles. We're coming back to council this year to install phase 2, which would be an additional 4 preemption devices. The quote that we got back was for $16,600. We had included this item as a CIP item in the 2024 budget. At the time, we estimated $16,400, so we have to shortfall of $200, which we are able to make up with another line item. So what we are here asking council tonight is to approve the legislation. Council has several choices. They could obviously approve the legislation as presented, revise the number of units. We currently are asking for 4. That will give us a total of 8. We will anticipate coming back in 2025 and ask for the final 4 to complete the project with the police department, or the legislation could be denied. It's obviously, we are recommending that council adopt the legislation as proposed and allow the city manager to enter in the contract for the purchase of the 4 GPS preemption vehicle kits in the amount not to exceed $16,600.
Thank you, Chief. Any comment or question? I appreciate the sort of graded approach to this. And we do this on a few different type of things, but over 3 years. So appreciate your patience in getting this accomplished, and I'll be glad to see when we do complete this next year. All right, we'll go ahead and read the resolution, please.
Resolution authorizing the execution of a purchase agreement with Traffic Control Products for the purchase of GPS preemption vehicle kits.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Ping?
Yes.
Mayor Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Bateman?
Yes.
Mr. Goodyear?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mr. Ori?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Phelps?
Yes.
Resolution 10 is adopted by a vote of 7-0.
Mr. Wright.
Thank you, Mayor. This is this company's public hearing. This is actually the ordinance adopted by council after 2 separate readings that would actually amend the city zoning code to regulate short-term rentals. And this was really a fascinating project to research and sort of develop regulations on, because, I think that short-term rentals are one of those sort of things that are out in the background, and but as Loveland continues to grow from a recreation and tourism standpoint, and notably, we have 3 event centers in this within a couple miles drive of here. So I think that they will continue. And so with that, it seems appropriate that, we take the approach of regulating the approach where the value of location is monetized. And because what that does is it impacts, traditional residential uses and leads to land use friction and conflicts. And we've talked about this, and we talked about this at planning and zoning, and I know it's been talked about at law and ordinance as well. Looking at this, what are we trying to accomplish? And really, when we research this, it really boils down to preventing land use conflicts and providing an appropriate public input process and resolving concerns over life, safety, and occupancy. And, really putting short-term rentals on a more even playing field with their traditional commercial lodgings partners, because they have to comply with all the other life safety things that like a traditional hotel or a traditional lodging facility or commercial use would have to comply with. Not necessarily the whole things, but the important things, making sure that the things are safe, making sure that we have, properly grounded GFCI protected outlets, making sure we're not stacking 30 people in a 2-bedroom for, 3 days, and those kind of things. So, the Planning Commission really dug in on this, and I appreciated the opportunity to work with them on that. Looked at a draft set of regulations, and, following that process, ultimately made a recommendation to recommend approval of the proposed text amendment at the November 21st hearing. So then this was forwarded to City Council, consistent with our process per Chapter 1115 of the Zoning Code. That comes to Council vis-a-vis a notice of final action and a request for public hearing, which you set at the prior meeting in December. It was a month ago. It's a long time ago, and so now Council has the action in front of it. It has the proposed ordinance that amends the code as recommended by the Planning and Zoning Commission, and you can choose to adopt it. You can make modifications, or you can not pursue it. At the end of the day, I think these are good regulations. I think a lot of work went into these regulations, and I think this is a very good step to sort of get control of these things moving forward and establish a process by which those that came prior to this regulatory approach will eventually have to comply with some of those standards or come into the current approval process. So I've enjoyed working on this particular project, and I think this will be a good thing for the city. So certainly my recommendation would be to adopt as presented. So
Thank you, Mr. Wright. Mr. Bateman, is there anything you wish to add from a planning and zoning
Just
representative?
agree that it was an interesting process, particularly given the pros and cons taken from different perspectives when you think about short-term rentals. So I do think that what is presented here is sort of in that Goldilocks zone of just enough regulation, but not so much to make it prohibitive, because they have a place certainly in an area like Loveland, especially in the downtown area. I think there is a lack of lodging, and certainly there's a appropriate properties that can actually help the neighborhood and can bring renewal in the area. But we don't want to make it so that it becomes a free for all. And so, as I said, I believe that this really hits the mark. I think there's certainly going to be a learning curve in the implementation, and so I know staff will be on top of that. But again, I think that there's always going to be room to adjust and reevaluate. But I suspect that this does a good job for both the neighbor that's concerned about the proliferation of short-term rentals, but also the entrepreneurial property owner that's looking to establish one. So I think that it's clear and fair, and we did as good a job as we could with the sort of vagueness of the item. So I encourage you all to go with the staff's recommendation here.
All right, thank you. Vice Mayor, did Law and Order take a look at this as well?
They did originally, and I think the reason why we kind of deferred to planning and zoning was that I think due process as well as a quasi judicial body like planning and zoning is better equipped to implement, and I would think ultimately be able to enforce it as opposed to police or another city officer. So that which was done ultimately corresponded to, I think, some of the direction we thought it should go. So we're happy with the product.
All right, very good. Does anybody have any further comment or questions? This is a first reading only, but anybody have anything you want to add? All right, we'll go ahead and read the ordinance, please.
Ordinance amending Chapter 1107 definitions, Chapter 1156 table of permitted uses, Chapter 1165 general zoning regulations of the codified ordinances of the City of Loveland.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Kennedy, is it you or Mr. Wright that wants to talk? Mr. Wright, we usually kind of gloss over the building and zoning department report, but it's the end of the year, so.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. And I think it was a good report this year. So a couple of trends. You look a couple of things when you look at permit data. You look at your overall permit volume, and then you also look at the value of those permits. And so, we looked at last year's permits. We did 380 permits for the whole year, and we did 362 this year. Which why is that a rosy outlook? Because you did less. We did 18 less permits, but the number that I would point out to council is specifically if you look at the year-to-date valuations that are reported in single family, we approached, we had 6.3 million in last year, 5.7 this year, but we did fewer. But we did, if you look at the residential permits, we did 15 fewer permits. So we actually, if you look at that, we achieved a higher value per permit on those residential structures. Similarly, if you look at the commercial, you did nearly 4 million this year. You did 450,000 last year. You had you approached 4 million, 3.8 million, and exceeded last year in by about $100,000, $150,000 in residential improvement. And the commercial improvement was nearly double. You went from 4 million to over 8 million, and so you exceeded your permit revenue. Last year we did 15.5 in valuation, not revenue, but valuation. This year we did almost 22 million in new valuation and improvements. So that really speaks volumes to this city, what the positive things are happening here, and all of that positive activity. And then if you look at your fees, the fees collected, there was a slight reduction in fees, but I think that, at the end of the day, the city also benefits from that commercial activity and the income tax collection that comes from that positive commercial growth. And obviously, we like that people are spending money on their homes because that preserves and protects property values. And it means people want to stay here and they want to live here. So I think overall, the 2023 report was very positive, and I'm pleased that, to have been able to work here during that time. So thank you.
All right. Anybody have any comments on that? All right. Announcements. The East Loveland Bridge replacement project begins on January 30th. East Loveland Road will be closed between 3rd Street and 200 feet east of 5th Street for approximately 6 months. There will be a detour route in place. I don't imagine it's very convenient.
No. We are, I would just add that we are, for those that, and I've already spoke to multiple residents, for those that can get down to the East Loveland Nature Preserve, we're going to designate some parking for them and work with the contractor to create a path. So if you're certain residents, you may be able to still, we're going to designate the parking, a whole stretch of parking will say East Loveland / Bears Creek parking residents only, something like that. We'll line that whole stretch. And I spoke to a lady today. She plans on taking her bike down every morning. And the police chief and the fire chief are both working diligently with all our mutual aid contractors to make sure there won't be any hiccup in the emergency response. But at the end of the day, this is a bridge that really needs to be replaced. And I can't thank Cindy enough by bringing in MSD. Largely the city's water line project, the sidewalks is all being funded. It's a $2.1 million project of which the city is basically paying pennies. So this is a major pain in the butt for everyone, but we just found out today, letters went out to every single resident of the city, and we're working with both the Montessori school, who's now in the city, and of course, Loveland City Schools. So it's a pain, but a bigger pain if the bridge collapse.
I think you'll see a lot of local residents on different mobility. People will be taking their rollerblades down,
Sure.
roller skates.
Big way.
Yeah, it'll be one of the safest 6 months down that East Loveland. No, thanks for the notification and for the accommodation, Mr. Kennedy. I know a lot of our neighbors are wanting to know about that.
That's
the bridge access and the pedestrian access through the nature preserve. So, thank goodness we built that bridge so many years ago, the little pedestrian bridge, because that's at least a little bit of a makes a bitter pill to swallow go down a little easier.
All right. Also, city offices will be closed next Monday, January 15th, for Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Those are all my announcements. Does anybody have anything else? All right. How about a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Call the roll, please.
For you.
Mayor Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Bateman?
Yes.
Mr. Goodyear?
Yes.
Mr. Hart? Mr. Ori?
Yes.
Mr. Phelps?
Yes.
Mr. Ping?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.